Hello everybody, as back with another video. Hope everybody's good. And today's video is just a bit of a ramble, really, I suppose, a bit of a chit chat, bit of a natter on physical media. So physical media versus streaming. So for years I've been streaming on Spotify, and 2 years ago I decided to move over to Apple Music because they offered loss and they offered Atmos in their audio options for a lot of their albums. So I thought that was good. That was interesting. Maybe I'll give that a shot and see if I'm enjoying that. So I was with Apple for about a year, and I don't know. I missed all of my playlists from Spotify, so I have hundreds of playlists on my own personal Spotify, and I missed all of those. So after about a year of Apple and figuring that the Apple is okay, but I don't know. I missed Spotify. I think the layout on Spotify I much preferred, and obviously, as I say, my playlists. So I went back to Spotify about 2 months ago, and since I've gone back to Spotify, it's not been the same experience. It seems to be very stop start. I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but I'll play a song and it will stop for 4 or 5 seconds. In some cases, it's up to a minute, and it will come back and it will come back. It won't come back to where it had stopped. It will come back and it will have missed out an entire minute's worth of the song, or whatever it may be, 5, 6, 7 seconds of the song. And it's really become more frequent recently in the past sort of few weeks. And I've noticed this really when I'm driving around to and from work. If I decide to stream from my Spotify, it's stopped starting so much. So in the past few days, I've decided to start listening to some CDs again in my car. And the past few days, so I've decided to put this into my car, and this is the hits collection from the History album. This is the separate edition. This is just the disc of hits, 15 remastered greatest hits, 72 minutes of music, and so yeah, so this is just the volume one of the greatest hits disc. I have to say, it sounds phenomenal. It sounds absolutely phenomenal in my car. Now, my car sound system is just a basic sound system. It's not souped up. It's not, it's not. I haven't added anything to. I haven't put new speakers in or anything. But just the difference between listening to it on CD as opposed to streaming has been day and night. And I think this came out in 2001, 2002. So they issued this separately, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Now I would look at the track listing here on paper, and I would be potentially bored to death with a lot of these songs that I've listened to for over 40 years. So Billie Jean, The Way You Make Me Feel, Black or White, Rock With You, She's Out of My Life, Bad, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Man in the Mirror, Thriller, Beat It, The Girl Is Mine, Remember the Time, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Wanna Be Starting Something, and Heal the World. And a lot of those, I've been bored to death with a lot of those songs because I'm just so well versed and familiar with them. But I have to say, it's been a game changer this week in the car listening to this on CD. They just come to life. They just come to life on CD in the car on the sound system. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my imagination. I don't know if it's my ears tricking me. Now, I am a fan of physical media. It's my preferred mode of listening, I guess, to music and to watching visuals as well, to watching DVD. Like, I prefer watching DVDs and Blu-rays as opposed to streaming. I do stream. I am on Netflix and Disney Plus and a few other ones, but I have to say, just listening on CD this week has been an eye opener, or an ear opener, I suppose would be the right term. It's just been phenomenal. It's just been phenomenal. So then, what I've also done the past few days is I've dug this out, and this is a portable CD player, or portable CD Walkman, as we call them in Ireland. Um, I bought this CD Walkman in Gran Canaria in 1998, and this for many years was my preferred mode, my preferred choice of listening to music, and this served me so well over the years. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just a Panasonic XBS. XBS. There is a bass booster in it, um, which occasionally I would sort of turn on the bass booster just to get a little bit of extra sort of bottom end on the sound, just to sort of enhance it a little bit. But there's nothing special about this. And I mean, even growing up, there was a decent hi-fi in my mum's house growing up. I was never one really for sort of big fancy audio setups. I mean, as long as I can hear the music, really, I'm pretty much happy. Obviously, I suppose hearing stuff on really good sound systems, there's a difference. I really sort of I've got so much pleasure out of this for yeah for 20 plus years. This was my preferred way of listening to music, and it still works perfectly. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So that got me thinking. Then I suppose just about physical media in general, and then that got me sort of digging out my Michael Jackson, actually my magazine collection. So I have a box of magazines belonging to myself and my wife that went missing about 5 years ago, and there's some incredible stuff in that box of magazines. There's Michael's last photo shoot. Was it for La Vogue, French Vogue, or Italian Vogue? And there's loads of different things. There's loads of different rare things, and I don't know if that box now is stolen or it's just disappeared. I've moved so many times. We've moved so many times in the past 10 years that I no longer know where that is. So it's either stolen or it's just misplaced or it's buried somewhere unexpectedly under a load of different things. So I dug out what I have here from my magazine collection and my book collection, and I'm just going to, I guess, briefly go through this stuff. So I don't know where I got this from, and I mean I don't know where I got a lot of it from, to be honest. But the idea of physical media again, obviously on my channel here, I've done some scrapbook collection look throughs. It's just really nice to sort of look back through this stuff. So, and this book as well actually comes with a poster of Michael on the bad tour. I mean, that's a beautiful poster. Look at that poster. There's just something so joyful and nostalgic and warm and beautiful about physical media. It's really nice, as I said, just to go back. This one, you might have seen this in some of my videos. I've had it in the background. So this is a Japanese magazine or book or whatever you'd call it from the 87 Japan leg of the Bad World Tour. It has a lot of, it's quite glossy actually, but it has a lot of really nice, rare pictures. And so then it's divided into chapters as well. So chapter one is Wonderland. Nice shot of Michael there from one of the opening concerts, maybe around the second, third, or fourth concert. But there's just some beautiful imagery. There's just some stunning photography in this book. I bought this online a few years ago, and I'd wanted it for a long time. There's just shot there in the stadium. I'd wanted this for a very long time, but then it popped up at a really good price. I couldn't refuse it, and it also showed some shots of the inside. So the next chapter then is act, and there's Michael doing his his kneeling down and crying, and is feeding off the audience, I guess, for a reaction. But it's just filled with like really beautiful images of Michael on that 87 tour. That was absolutely magnificent. So the next one is With. Is it With? So there's Michael There's Lavelle, and is it Randy behind him? His dancers doing the choreography for Beat It. Um, oh, and this one is one of my favorite pictures from the book. And this was one of the reasons why I bought the book primarily. It's Michael and Jennifer Batten performing, I would imagine, Heartbreak Hotel. But look at those caps on Michael's shoes. Look at those studded caps. I originally thought they were boots, but I believe they were sort of caps over his loafers, his black loafers, his penny loafers. Um, but it's so striking, the visuals from that 87 world tour. Stranger, love that. Like, look, there's such incredible close and personal up close shots of Michael on stage. And it was a really magical tour. Obviously, the 88 tour is sort of the tour, but it is the sort of legend, the tour that sort of cemented him as a legend. But the 87 tour the 87 tour just hits different for me. It just hits different. So this image here is taken from a set of images, and they would use one of these images to produce a CD in conjunction with Monster Cable. Monster Cable were the part of the technology that were used in the making of the Bad album. So there's a CD called the Bad Mixes, which is a holy grail for me. It's a CD I've wanted for years and years, but it goes for ridiculously high prices in the hundreds of pounds. I've always wanted it. I'm always keeping my eye open for it, but so one of the photos, the photo on the sleeve for that is this pose here of Michael on his sort of doing his crying thing on stage. Um, so that's an image from that. But that CD is something that I would absolutely love to acquire, and that was available on eBay a few years ago for £50, shrink wrapped, brand new. Some lady selling it. I think it had been belonged to her husband or something, and it sold for like £50. I didn't have the money at the time, and it's a major regret that I didn't beg, borrow, or steal the money just to purchase it, because it goes for ridiculous money, those Bad Mixes, and it's something I've always wanted. There's Michael again with the studded caps, and this is obviously I believe this is from the first night, but it confuses me sometimes because then I see Michael wearing this black shirt, which I believe he only wore on the first night. Am I right or wrong on that? But then I believe I've seen him perform with the black shirt without wearing the caps. So maybe midway through the concert he removed them, or he done 2 nights with this black shirt. I don't know. I don't know, but his family were in attendance as well. His parents, Latoya was there. I think Janet might have been there on the first night in Japan. There's some footage of that on YouTube, and you get to see Michael's parents in the crowd, and Latoya. So there's Michael just posing at the beginning. I mean, look how striking that is. Look how striking that is. It's stunning, absolutely stunning. Mind, and I love this shot of Michael. Then he's on the train then to the next city for his next set of shows in Japan. And obviously Japan is famous for having like the best, most reliable, quickest train service in the world. So I've wanted to go to Japan for years. It just hasn't happened yet, but I would like to go there at some point. I'd love to go to Japan, and maybe even Yokohama, and sort of visit the venues where Michael performed. So there's Michael. There's Michael and Frank DeLeo. There's Michael. Is that Walter Yettenhoff? One of the record label guys. And I don't know. There's Quincy Jones as well. And I don't know who that other guy is. But Michael there with the kids, so cute. But just really, really nice imagery there. This is just it just warms my heart and gives me such a lovely feeling when I look at a book like this and see these incredible shots. Like Michael there signing that kid's shirt. How incredible is that? How incredible is it? Imagine like being in your school and Michael Jackson arriving in your school and just meeting with everyone. But, as I say, this book is absolutely stunning. And I know I use the word absolutely and stunning quite a lot, but then when we're dealing with Michael, I suppose I always will, because that's how I feel. It's magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. So Quincy Jones done a lot of the press conferences for the Bad Tour. When I say he done a lot, he's certainly done two or three anyway. The press conferences would be with Quincy Jones and Frank DeLeo, and it was a decision, I believe, on Frank DeLeo's part to not have Michael at the press conferences for the tour. So, of course, this also only sort of fed into the myth and the mystery more, and then when you went to see Michael on stage, I mean, the impact of that then was just, magnified to the 10th degree. And then there's some stuff here. I don't know if these guys are fans or some sort of staff, some sort of crew that worked on the Japanese leg of the tour, if they're sort of media crew. Then there's quite a good extensive discography as well. And this covers the J5 and the Jacksons, and then we've got sort of Michael's discography, and there's a video discography as well. Oh, we can sort of see there. This also then comes with a poster, which is attached to it, and there's a slight rip. Oh, there's a slight rip in the poster, but stunning, absolutely magnificent. What a beautiful poster. So I was especially pleased to get that. I purchased this probably about 5 years ago. So I'm still sort of like purchasing physical media, magazine, books, scrapbooks, and all that kind of stuff because I love it. This one came out back in the day. This is from the 80s. And this is something that a friend of mine had growing up that I didn't have. And I couldn't find it anywhere for years. And then when I joined that dance company, I was in the rhythm dance company. Patrick, one of the choreographers, gifted me this. And when I say he gifted it to me, I think he actually lent it to me and I just ended up never giving it back to him. I mean, a lot of you guys would have maybe seen this magazine. There's Michael with Tatiana, of course, there from Madison Square Garden, and the famous kiss. And poor Tatiana never worked on stage with Michael again because she was sacked. And then you've probably seen some of these action shots, these neck shots from Michael performing Another Part of Me, which is stunning. And I've said this before. I mean, the Bad Tour, just the way it pops, the way the colors sort of hit the stage and hit Michael, and you add to that the set list, the performance, incredible, just incredible stuff. So powerful, so striking, so pleasing to the eye visually and then orally as well, because the set list, the songs, the moves, the magic. I just this Bad Tour just never I've never in my life had enough of the Bad Tour. I've never reached a point in my life where I think to myself, right, I need a break. I just need a break from this. It's too much. I'm sick of this. I could easily spend 2 to 3 hours every single day of my life wrapped up in the Bad Tour. And that would be either listening to it, reading about it, watching it, obviously. I mean, watching the Bad Tour is the ultimate, isn't it? So that's that. That's really nice. And then there's this one, and a lot of these are in plastic. There's Michael performing I'll Be There. Let's open it. Let's have a look through. And I might have to make a few of these videos just because I don't want to spend too long. But then at the same time, it's just so nice to look through these. So there's a contents page. So there's actually, okay, so it sort of gives off the impression that it's a bad era, but it's a sort of a mixture of era. There's Michael for one of the Pepsi commercials. And again, that advert, I've spoken about that advert, Pepsi. commercials from 88 and the Impact 87, 88. We've got some Latoya, we've got some Janet, we've got some Joe and Catherine, we've got some Encino. I'd love to go to Encino because really, I suppose that's where Thriller and Bad were sort of worked on, conceived, thought about. Michael had his own studio there and his own team there, and I'd love to visit Encino. Look at that. It's just, I have never seen a bad picture of Michael on the Bad Tour ever in my life. Whatever he does, whatever way the light hits him, whatever he's doing with his face, whether he's pouting or singing or gesturing, there just is no such thing as a bad image of the Bad Tour. They're all good. They're all good. And then you're going into sort of the beginnings then of the Dangerous era. And it's just so nice to kind of trip down memory lane and to look at some of the visuals. And just sometimes it's nice to have a reminder of what it is that's so special about the guy. And look at that, stunning. Absolutely stunning. I don't know if, oh, that's an early 88 American leg, because we can see here from the shirt. It's one of the early iterations of the shirt. We don't have this, the zipper, we don't have the black material on the inside. So, because he went back to America then in late 88 and performed more American concerts. So this is one I've shown before. So growing up in Portugal, spending my summers in Portugal, which is where my father lives for the last 30 plus years, this was something that was in a shop that I used frequent, a magazine shop. They sold cigarettes and chocolate bars. And this was something I'd wanted, but I never got around to getting this. I think I was too shy to ask for the money to purchase this. As bizarre as that sounds, I think I sort of struggled to, I wanted this, but I never bought it at the time. I think maybe as well, part of me subconsciously just sort of wanted to keep it in the shop as a reason to walk down to the shop and just look at this. And I would stand in the shop looking at that. And I purchased this recently and I'm really happy. We've got Dangerous Tour 1. We've got another Dangerous Tour. So this was a series, and I think, so the series is JCC, and I don't know if these were like tour specials when Michael came. So, right, so I've got a duplicate of this one. So what I'm going to do, guys, at some point is I'm going to, and I promise I'll get to it maybe this week now. I'll go through all of my duplicates and I'll put a stack of duplicates aside and maybe we'll have a giveaway at some point. It might be an incentive for me as well to get some new subscribers on the channel. That would be really nice. So we've got some Off the Wall magazines. So Off the Wall magazine was founded by Adrian Grant. Adrian Grant was the same guy who created the Thriller Live musical. I saw Thriller Live 15 years ago in Blackpool. It was okay. It didn't do much for me. I mean, it was lovely to hear the songs. Somebody did say to me, though, that the residency that was in London for years and years was better than the traveling cast. Now, nothing against the traveling cast. It just, I don't know. It didn't do a whole lot for me, but it was a day of Michael Jackson and we got to sort of celebrate and sing along all the songs. So I mean, you know, when I say it didn't do much for me, I don't mean to be overcritical of it. I sort of appreciate it for what it was. I suppose when you're used to growing up watching actual Michael and then sort of seeing a lot of the tribute stuff, it can be sort of hard to take, you know. But Adrian Grant done a lot, and he's also the guy who produced that book, the visual documentary. Let me see if I have a visual documentary here somewhere. Yeah. So I've got 2 copies of the visual documentary, and so Adrian Grant did a lot, actually, a lot in the fan community. And I'll just see here if there's a picture. I'll just see here if there's a picture of Adrian Grant. Yeah, so there's Adrian Grant with Michael, and I mean he'd met Michael many times over the years in the different eras, but he met him here on the making of Stranger in Moscow. And I think he got Michael to sign some memorabilia around that time as well for a competition. But this book actually is phenomenal. And this was one of the highly sought after fan favorites from back in the day. And this contains an entire diary as well of the bad era. And it sort of goes through all of the different cities Michael went to and the concerts. And it's yeah, it's like literally a diary. It's literally a diary of every year, every month, every decade, and it breaks down all of the different eras. And I highly recommend the visual documentary. It's absolutely beautiful book, and it's worth every penny. It's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book, and it's filled with pictures. Different insights. And this is one of my favorite pictures of Michael, that sort of Boy Scout, all American Boy Scout picture, which featured in a calendar. And I just have strong memories of that. And oh, I love this shot of Michael in '87. I believe that's in Australia on his Bad World tour. There he's meeting a sick child in hospital. Like, just imagine Michael Jackson, but imagine you're ill in hospital and Michael Jackson walks through the door. I bet it lifted so many people's spirits and helped so many. He done so much good. He done so much good. And I think that was a lot of his motivation to tour, especially later on, because he didn't enjoy touring. He didn't enjoy the jet lag in the different zones and the disruption and the not being able to sleep. So there's a lot there to consider. Just have a cup of coffee there. Excuse me. So yeah, so Adrian Grant, the visual documentary, Off the Wall magazine, and the Thriller Live musical. So these are some of the off the wall. I mean, I can't really go through everything because we'd be here all day. And I do know as well my videos tend to sort of go on a little bit. There's a nice image there of Michael being toasted up into the sky for one of the Dangerous tour performances. And this is more like a sort of a leaflet, Hitmakers. I really like this, but it's almost like a pamphlet, but I really like this one. I'll just quickly go through this one because there's actually not much to it, but it's just we got Michael there in the closet. I think Michael looked very striking for that video, directed by Herb Ritz, and it just brought Michael's sensual side to a whole new level, didn't it? But I mean, look, this is real sort of old school, like a chart magazine, really, I suppose. The battle in Jackson, so like there was a little bit of a sort of a little bit of a kind of a gossipy section, sort of presented as sort of insightful, and you got quite excited, sort of looking at stuff like that. There's Michael out with Brooke Shields there, looking really swag. Um, Michael with his old buddy there, Madonna, and I mean, I do wonder what it would be like, what it would have been like if Michael had Madonna in the closet. It would have been, I don't know, it would have been just an event. It would have been such an event. I know that Madonna is a bit of a hard taskmaster and wanted to change up his image, and it wouldn't have worked for those type of reasons. And Michael would have had one of his managers just instruct Madonna to leave the building, I suppose. We've seen a lot of these. There's an image there of Michael with his teacher from his elementary school, which is lovely. And that footage obviously is available as well as always on YouTube. I mean, one of the iconic shots of Michael there in the hyperbaric chamber to extend his life. What do they say? He wanted to live till he was like 150. And, I mean, a lot of it, I suppose, was innocent fun, those sort of rumors put out there to propel sort of his mysterious image. But obviously that got out of hand. But a lot of it was quite innocent, Look at that. Look how graceful Michael is there. That beautiful smile. Just having a great time on stage. Michael had the time of his life on stage during the Bad Tour, and you can see that by his performances. Some Batman and Penguin costumes there. So that's quite nice. So King Magazine. So King Magazine was sort of a continuation of the Off the Wall magazine. The Off the Wall magazine folded at some point, and the lady who edited Off the Wall, or who came on board towards the end of the Off the Wall magazine, was Gloria Haydock. Is that how I say her name? I think her name was Gloria Haydock. So then she created her own magazine with the blessing of Adrian Grant, who, for one reason or another, sort of folded the Off the Wall magazine. And this is a wonderful magazine. I got a batch of these a few years ago, and I just spent hours and hours this reading them. So this was also produced by, I believe, King Magazine and Gloria Haydock's team, I believe, and King Magazine. King Magazine, King of Pop, but like it's sort of known really, I guess, as King Magazine. And these go quite cheap. You can buy these in batches, and there's some really, really wonderful reading in them. Um, there's some really wonderful reading on them, and I've had just endless hours of pleasure. This is by King Magazine as well. This was a special, I think, when Michael came to the UK on the history tour, and I've just had hours and hours of pleasure from reading these guys, and I just cannot recommend them enough. If you're old school and if you're a bit of an audiophile like me and you like your stuff plain old fashioned, then I can't recommend this stuff enough. King Magazine. And again, I've got some duplicates and I will go through all of this stuff. Okay, so perhaps this didn't age well, and a lot of fans would probably be unhappy about that. And I think King Magazine received a few letters of disapproval on that caricature as well. It meant innocently, guys, meant innocently. It's certainly not. It certainly wasn't printed to insult Michael or to insult his fan base, and that's the problem as well. I think with a lot of it is a lot of stuff that sort of began innocently ended up then later being sort of misconstrued into something or other that it wasn't. And there's Michael. So that's the only live, when I say live, that's the only performance of Remember the Time. There's also a rehearsal performance from the Dangerous rehearsal tapes. All of that's available on YouTube, as obviously. But that was really cool. So there's a bit of a theory that so Michael injured his ankle before this performance, which was part of an awards show in America. So that meant obviously Michael had to do the performance sitting down, and then he had his dancers around him, and he just performed a few, neck things and choreography around it. But there is a theory that Michael sort of didn't want to take part in the choreography, or he couldn't get a certain move right, and he sort of faked the injury. I don't know. I think it's quite nice though to have a performance like this in the fact that it's just such a unique performance, and he's sitting down in the audience, or the fans are sort of like, go Michael, and he's having a great time. He's having a lot of fun with it. It does make for quite a unique performance. There's Michael. What would you call that move? Like sort of, I used to call it the hip slide, or the hip strut, or the hip slide, or he's doing that pelvic thrust forward after so he spins for another part and he lands on a dime, hand outstretched. You're just another part of me. Then he sort of smacks his hand on his hip, and he hip slides along. It's a cool move, actually. I really love it. Smooth Criminal. So there's a lot of those King magazines, and I do have some duplicates of those as well, and I will put those into the to the pile for to have a giveaway. So that's it. So so look, that's so I believe that's the New Year's Eve Dangerous Tour concert in Japan, and where Michael famously wore the red shirt for Man in the Mirror. So that's a bit of a grail, that concert, that New Year's Eve concert. That's a bit of a grail that a lot of fans would like to have visually. I would love to see that concert. I would love to see that. The other thing as well is that King magazine as well also came with a collection. every edition, if you paid for the subscription, if you paid, I think, extra for the subscription, like let's call it like a gold members club or something, then if you paid for the little bit extra in your subscription, then you got this additional sort of news paper along with it. I mean, it's only sort of one page, but and then that's, I guess, just all of sort of the latest news of the day or more additional. You've got 3T there. You've got the release there of the Ghost on VHS. You've got, is that Rebe, Michael's sister there? The Jacksons, they are everywhere. So there's a nice piece there about Rebe, Michael's sister. And then you've got sort of different fans here reaching out, looking to sort of get in touch with other fans. And, that whole era where you had pen pals. And I remember when I was a kid, actually, I had a pen pal from America, a girl from America. I wrote to her once or twice, I think, and then it sort of fizzled out. And they ended up then printing the newspaper, the additional newspaper section in blue, I think. But I was lucky enough when I bought those magazines, they all came with their included newspapers. So I just sort of keep them in this binder. So we have another one here. So speaking of Adrian Grant as well, he also produced these booklets. So there's a Dangerous Era and History Era. These were stunning. These were stunning. These are just really, really beautiful books, and just some phenomenal live shots of Michael on stage, whether that's in London or it'll be certainly the European. I'm guessing there's one from the opening night at Munich, where Michael famously wore his black and gold. And then for the rest of the European 92 tour, he wore his sparkly jam jacket. And then, of course, I think he reintroduced the black and gold in Japan late 92, leading up to those New Year's Eve concerts. And then for the rest of the 93, for the other leg in 93, he wore the black and gold. But I mean, you get the idea. I mean, I could spend my life just sort of drinking coffee and reading these and browsing through them. There's just some wonderful shots, some wonderful images there from the Munich concert. Now, there was a few mistakes on opening night of the Dangerous tour. From what I've seen, I think it looks wonderful. I think Jam may have been a little bit sort of I suppose it was the first performance of Jam as well. It was the early performance, and Michael still hadn't sort of evolved the performance to maybe where he would have wanted it. But the Dangerous Diaries from the European leg of the Dangerous tour actually gives us live performances of Billie Jean and Black or White from the Munich concert, and I mean, sensational. It's sensational. And I mean, the clips of Jam from the opening night as well are wonderful. And everything doesn't need to be perfect as well. People get too obsessed with wanting everything to be sort of the greatest thing on earth. But I mean, it's a case, I suppose, sometimes of the what is it? The sum total is the small parts are the sum total is greater than the little parts. So I would say overall, the Munich show would be worth having. So that's the history one. I've got a duplicate of that, and I'll put that aside. So this was to cover Michael in the UK for the history tour, and this one comes with a poster as well. And I think a lot of the ladies are a fan of the gold history tour costume. The pants in particular, for one reason or another. What could that be, eh? Just stunning, though. I mean, the memories are just endless. The memories are just endless with this stuff. And for me, this was seeing this live on the history tour in Dublin. And if you had asked me beforehand, like what my expectations were and what I was most looking forward to, something like a big theatrical presentation like Earth Song wouldn't have been it. But the impact was so profound. He was over my head. the message was so powerful. You could see the level Michael was working on and what he was trying to sort of the message he was trying to convey to the audience. It was incredibly powerful. It was incredibly powerful. It really was. Okay, I mean, I need to stop at some point. Look at Michael on stage there, giving us "We Are the World," I think. Um, and then this one comes with a poster as well, and I hope there's a poster somewhere in the duplicate. Yeah, I've really got to do a giveaway because it would it would be nice for another fan out there to get some of this stuff. Because for me, growing up, if I was able to get my hands on anything like this, it just would have meant the world to me. So yeah, we're seeing too much there, Michael. We're seeing too much. Um, Phenomenal. It looked amazing in the Stranger in Moscow video, and that's a beautiful video. And so that's the history one. So that's Adrian Grant. And oh, so look, duplicate, duplicates, duplicates. So these are duplicates as well. So I need to start. I really do need to start going through it. This was released at some point. So classic pop, actually, I bought classic pop. I bought that for a few years because I'm into other pop artists as well. Prince, George Michael, quite a few others. I like a bit of this lady as well, to be honest. Madonna, um, and classic pop is a decent magazine, but one does spot all of the errors in something like this because they're not as well versed as the fan base is on Michael Jackson's life and his history. So you'll have him performing Human Nature, and they'll say Michael performing Remember the Time, or just silly errors, really silly schoolboy errors. Anybody can make those errors, but when you're a fan, it just can tend to sort of irk you a little bit. So we've got more King magazine, issue 3. That's issue 3. Okay. And this is, I, I think that's the very first issue of King magazine. I may be wrong. I think it might be the very first issue. Oh, and look, we've got a duplicate of that, and we've got a duplicate of that as well. So I will put all of those aside, guys, and I will do a giveaway at some point. So this was produced, I think, for it's produced. So musical tribute to Michael Jackson presented by MJ News International, and this was produced for a specific reason, but that reason completely escapes me right now. I want to say this was produced as part of an effort to sort of publicly stand by Michael Jackson and defend him for one reason or another. I may be completely wrong, but I do know that the fan clubs were very, guys, we've got a feeling of solidarity among us. We're a unique bunch of people out there in the world who love this artist, and we've been through the ups and downs. It's kind of important to sort of stand together in unity, I suppose, unison. Because we've been through so much with allegations and nonsense and rubbish rag pieces described as documentaries, and pretending to be legitimate media, and like the thing is as well is like a lot of those publications, especially the print media in the UK, I mean, they're just horrid towards Michael, and that's been my experience the entire time, horrid. But then when Michael passed away, they all released tribute editions, and foolish me, I went and bought some of those, and I regret that, and a lot of those have gone missing now in a box. I kind of regret sort of buying a lot of those tribute editions because I knew that they were cashing in on my sort of emotions, and they were the same people who'd stabbed him in the back for decades. So it's quite tragic, really. And we've got Michael. Is that? blanket or Paris, I can't remember. But these OK magazines are actually really nice. Some really nice images of Michael there. So Debbie Rowe, and who is this? The birth of Prince. So we've got Prince there as a little baby. So that's quite nice to have. Quite nice, beautiful shot with Michael there and little Prince. And so I've got a few of those, and then I've got stuff as well that is in scrapbooks, like a lot of this OK magazine stuff. And Michael done a few of these in the late 90s, I suppose, around the birth of his kids. But then I suppose if they were going to take pictures of the kids intrusively, then Michael may as well sort of do it professionally and give the rights to a magazine like this and get paid for it. I mean, why would you not do that? I suppose that was Michael's way of taking back control in the 90s, or some bit of control. There's another one there. There he is. So this one actually is Michael and Debbie Rowe house hunting, I believe. Michael Jackson with wife Debbie at the sumptuous French chateau they plan to buy. You've got to see this place that Michael and Debbie Rowe were looking at. Let me just find it. Just bear with me. I can definitely see Michael wanting this place. So we got a check floor here, actually, which is a little bit reminiscent of blood on the dance floor, and it would have been actually around the same time. But this really beautiful sort of chateau. It's a little bit kitsch as well, but sort of very, very Michael in that sort of kitsch sensibility. This is the yeah. So you got Michael there. So yeah, so that could be that's almost sort of reminiscent to me of Blood on the Dance Floor. Just really nice. Really nice stuff. And then finally from this batch, I've got this, and this is from the Thriller era in the 80s. I'm not sure, so there's sort of like musical notes there. I really like this one, actually, and there's some beautiful shots of Michael on the Triumph Tour. And just looking like he's having a blast on that tour. And again, that's something as well that would be really nice if that was released in a professional way and we got to see that stuff. I mean, we did get to see a little bit of what would you call it, HQ quality footage of the Victory Tour on the Thriller 40 documentary. So they do seem to have it. They do seem to have a lot of that stuff. But of course, they can be quite vague about it all. And, I guess we don't know really what the extent of what they have is. There's a nice shot there of Michael's studded boots, actually. Yeah, it's phenomenal. Jackie was ripped. Jackie Jackson was a very well-defined guy. Clearly worked out a lot. Stayed in shape. And there's Michael in tuxedo. So yeah, these are really, really beautiful to just go through and look at and reminisce, and especially a lot of the early stuff, because we don't have a whole lot of footage, and we certainly don't have a whole lot of footage in high quality. So there's Michael. There's Michael and one of the Pointer Sisters. I knew it wasn't Diana Ross, but it's one of the Pointer Sisters. I thought for a brief moment it might have been Grace Jones, but no, it's but there's Michael and Diana. And this picture of Michael actually featured on a VHS cover in the 90s of a bootleg VHS, which was became quite collectible among collectors, among fans. Okay, Michael, John Travolta, and two dudes. I do not know who they are. Michael's associates have diverse backgrounds. Here, top rock artist Seals and Crofts. Seals and Crofts greet him along with actor John Travolta. That was back when John Travolta had hair as well. Got a fine head of hair back then. So that's pretty much it. Ah, look at this. Look at this. Like there's Michael with Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry, and of course Michael did include "Come Together" on his History album as a subliminal nod, I guess, to Chuck Berry, given that the origins of that song come from the Chuck Berry song, and that Michael bought the ATV catalog. So Michael was flexing a little bit, maybe, with including it on the album. There's LaToya there as well. LaToya looking quite elegant, actually. Quite elegant. We've got Michael and some dude called Paul McCartney. Some dude that would take umbrage with Michael buying the ATV catalogue, which featured the Beatles songs. But, you know, it is what it is. And McCartney had no problem buying catalogues from other artists. And he had no problem advising Michael that music publishing was the way to go. And he had no problem being offered first dibs on that catalogue and refusing to pay for it. So it is what it is. It was business and nothing else. Business and nothing else. That's Michael with Pete Townsend from The Who. It's a young looking Pete Townsend. I don't remember Pete Townsend ever looking that young. And there's Michael there with some of the family, including his mom. Is that one of the wives? Is that Marilyn's wife or someone as well? Possibly, you may know. Beautiful shot there of Michael with some reindeer. I think that's at Encino. I do think there was an animal preserve in Encino, wasn't there? I believe there was. Michael is a gentle person who always has loved animals, like those two fawns who are part of his zoo. Yeah, so they're part of these two fawns, these two young little deer are. There was a reserve in Encino. Yeah, there was. Yeah. There's that famous footage of Michael with one of his llamas at Encino, isn't there? So I mean, this is all from that time actually, and there's that famous interview with Michael sitting by the fountain with LaToya. That's quite nice. And there's Michael at Disneyland or Disney World with Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse. And is he one of the rescue rangers? One of those squirrels? Probably. Possibly. And there's Michael dressed up as one of his all-time heroes there, Mr. Charlie Chaplin. Not sure who that is. Who's that? Who is that? I don't know. I don't know who that is. It's a chap. It's some chap. So that's it, guys. That was a nice little stroll down memory lane. And thank you for watching. And I'll catch all of you guys in my next video. Thank you.